Welcome, everybody, to Benisas Cafe Podcast. On today's episode, my guest is Tiara Reed with Inspire, Engage, and Educate. Welcome, Tiara. How are you?
Oh, my goodness. I'm amazing. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. Excellent, actually. I've got a lot of great things going, as well as you do. But today is all about you. I want my listeners and viewers to get to know you and to just see how of an inspiration you are to so many people. So why don't you start off by telling them, actually, before we start, we want to point out the beverage of today, which was Tiara's choice. And it is cucumber and lemon water. Extremely good for you and a great start for the spring/summer. So we're going to have a sip really quickly here.
Absolutely. Great for inflammation as well. Serious.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get you started. Tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be on this amazing platform. I'm super, super proud of you and all you've accomplished.
Thank you.
And it's just a great treat to be your friend. But me, I am Tiara Reed, the owner of Inspire, Engage, and Educate. And so to kind of sum that up, what I do is I solve problems in innovative ways. I am an educational consultant as well as a business consultant. So I get to work with schools, organizations, businesses to help them solve problems. And one thing that I'm truly passionate about is our small businesses, and most specifically our Black-owned small businesses. So I host events that actually amplify the awareness of the services and the products that they actually have. So that's me. Mm-hmm. Oh, did I forget? You know what? Hold on. Before I even move on, I did not mention my daughter. So I'm a doting mom, as many of you probably are. I'm super, super proud of her and everything she's been able to accomplish. She's a 15-year-old doing great things. So I'm proud of her as well. So that's me.
I love it. Uriah is just an amazing teenager. She's done so much already in her young life, accomplished a lot, and she's just extremely humble. She's just an amazing kid.
Yeah.
It's a great job.
Thank you. Well, I can't take it all. It's a village. You've helped in that as well. So, I am always thankful and grateful to you. Benissa and I, what she doesn't share, Benissa is one of the most nurturing and supportive people that I could even think of. Benissa, just thank you for everything on air and off air.
Thank you too. I was just sharing a few minutes ago before we started recording that, Tiara is just one of those people that is an extreme supporter, cheerleader, motivator. And I just appreciate all of your support over the years. We met when our daughters were in elementary school, and we've, kept in touch over the years, and we support each other's businesses and endeavors. And her pop-up shops are like amazing. Her organizational skills just alone are amazing. And we've gone to other vendor shows.
It's yours.
Hey, we've gone to other vendor shows, and my girls will say, I like Auntie Tiara's a lot better than this. So if you ever have an opportunity to go to one of her vendor shows or be a vendor or just a visitor, please feel free. I mean, you're going to love it, from the food, the ambiance, the drinks. I mean, everything is just well planned out. So great job to you.
You know what? I appreciate that because, we as entrepreneurs or creators, and I call myself a curator of an experience, right? Mm-hmm. So I think about our Black-owned businesses, and many of us, I'm a Black-owned business myself. I have a boutique consulting agency. And when I think about some of the things that the larger companies are able to do, like, say, for instance, Gucci or Versace or Hermes and things like that, when you go and you have a shopping experience, it's elevated.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty much the idea that I took upon myself to implement implement into the real Black Friday pop-up shop. That's one of the largest that I do in December. And so the idea is to have an elevated experience that offers the consumers wine and water and a great vibe, great music, so that all of our individual entrepreneurs, whether they can't afford to have a building or a space that is elegant on their own, collaboratively through group economics, we can achieve this. So I'm just super excited that I can bring that back again this year, December 2nd, 2022.
Amazing. We will definitely be there again.
Absolutely. I'm
supporting and, it honestly, when you were there, like, I didn't even honestly even care if I sold anything, because it was like, or, of course the networking portion is huge too, because all the vendors engage in between and they take an opportunity to make their rounds and see what everybody else is offering. There's like no feel of competition. It's all, it's more like a family environment. But, the networking piece is huge, of course. But the ambiance, again, is just so amazing that it doesn't even matter if you are, it's great, of course, when you do make money. But it's like, I really just want to talk to these and connect with these people and see how we can help each other. That is what I like about, your events the most. But let's track back a little bit. So let's talk about Tiara in the early days. So what attracted you to the education field, or, to become an educator?
Oh, okay. So we didn't even talk about that, right? So I have been in the education industry for over 20 years. And in college, I went to an HBCU, Alabama State University. Okay. And initially, I was pre-law. So I wanted to be an attorney, and I was given the opportunity. If you're not in the education industry, you may not know about this, but in early 2000, there was a law that was made. It's called No Child Left Behind, where all the students at the age of grade 3 and grade 5 had to be reading at a certain level. So there was a lot of grant money that was poured into the community, and the way that it was used at some of the colleges got groups of students and had then taught us how to teach children how to read, and had us to go into the inner city schools and work with the teachers and the students with reading. And so
that's cool.
I know, right? It was such a cool opportunity. And I never knew that this was going to shift the way that I saw my career trajectory. So immediately when I was in a class, although I was there as a reading tutor, I saw the teachers teach other content areas. And so I would never forget the students had a difficult time learning. And I taught the children THGO. I still remember that. And they were like, what? THGO, and they got it that day. So that I felt very fulfilled. And I had at that point not felt that fulfilled looking up all of these precedent cases and, learning, doing all this English. Of course, I still love to write. But I told my mom, I was like, I always wanted to be an attorney, but I think I want to be a teacher. And that was just the first, bug of the, I can really convey knowledge to another person. And so from there, it blossomed into me doing some pretty incredible things. After I got my first degree, I moved to Houston, Texas, where I taught at a magnet school. It was a architecture, a robotics, mechanical, and aerospace engineering school. Nice. So that's fancy, right? I taught science. So and look, now you're learning something about me. But anyway, so when I taught everything that I taught in science, it had to be merged or implemented with those strands that I just shared with the robotics. And that really taught me to push my creativity. And from that, moved back to Atlanta after being there and obtaining my second degree, which was a master's. And in Atlanta, I kept teaching. But it wasn't until I battled cancer that I decided to not only just teach and, I was dibbling, dabbling, and consulting a little bit. I was also an adjunct professor at Brown Mackie College for about 4 years, teaching other teachers how to teach. But once I survived, I knew that, life it's fleeting. Time is a commodity that is so precious. We think about money, but time is the most precious currency. So you have to spend it where it matters. So immediately I was like, you know what, God, you let me survive. There's nothing that comes to my mind that I won't pursue. And being my own boss, owning my labor so that I could own my time was something that was so important to me. And I knew that it also provided me with an opportunity to not have a ceiling on my earning potential, because that's what happens within the industry in education. You have a certain amount of degrees and you have a certain amount of years and you make X. Well, when, becoming an entrepreneur, there is no X other than, you motivate the X.
Absolutely.
You motivate it to move. So I would not say that it was the easiest decision, but when I thought about what I had to gain to move on as opposed to stay, it was just like, okay, I'm going to jump and allow faith to be my parachute. That's pretty much it.
That is amazing. I remember having those conversations with you early on. Yeah. And in my, I was kind of scared for you,
I know.
I was like, that is a huge step to take, to just step away from, it's actually like the consistent paycheck that probably scared me the most.
Yes.
And the benefits that people always, or companies always attract you with, right?
Yes. And you know what's so funny about that? Like, the Obamacare or whatever, the healthcare, the marketplace, it got a bad rap where people were thinking like, okay, well, I really, really, even if I work for myself, I won't be able to provide, afford healthcare, life insurance, all of these different things. However, after doing some research, because before I retired, because I retired when I was 38. And before I was able to retire and just like redirect my, my retirement to an IRA and do all these other things, I started to research, and because I am a cancer survivor and I do like the medical, the doctors that helped me, and I didn't want to leave them. And they're all within this specific network. So I was like, okay, so what can I do to continue that as I move forward? And, the marketplace was a good option for me.
Yeah.
I was able to literally afford the same level of care at the same price. So don't be discouraged by the benefits. And a lot of times, they're telling you these benefits, but it's just cutting down the amount of money that's coming in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Because they're spending it towards the benefits. So
Right. I think we could probably talk about this all day long, but I think that now, being as an entrepreneur for a year now, almost a year, I almost find it ridiculous what sort of benefits, I guess, they lure people in to come work for them. They're not even that valuable, but that's for another episode. Yeah. So, okay. So you mentioned that you had cancer. So
absolutely.
I guess, can you share a little bit about, the type of cancer that you survived?
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Right. Thank heavens. And Benissa, I just want to thank you. Benissa gave me an opportunity to celebrate, and some amazing spaces. I partnered with Marriott when she was the general manager, and was able to just not only just celebrate, but bring awareness to, I even did a project that actually turned into a nonprofit with my daughter and I, Tiara and Elise. But just remembering back, our children were in elementary school. I remember telling you, I think you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
When I found out. So I found a lump. And when I found the lump, I knew that it had to be something different. I'd never felt something that large in my breast. Initially, I was like, well, maybe it was, my menstrual cycle or something that maybe, why it felt different. I had just gone to the doctor in September, and here it is, December 1st, I'm finding this lump. Well, I made a conscious decision that I would research and find out everything that I could before I went to the doctor, because it was so close to Christmas. And I didn't want it to be synonymous with, with Christmas. I didn't want my daughter to be like, oh, Christmas time, my mom found out, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, the list, literally the day after Christmas, went to my primary caregiver, healthcare worker, or whatever it is, went to the doctor, okay? And so once I went to the doctor, and of course, even though we're through Christmas, here's New Year's. So then Of course, they made the referral. I got the mammogram and then got the ultrasound, got the biopsy. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, I had stage 2 breast cancer. It was so great that it did not, travel throughout my body. I was so lucky to even, because the lump was so large, I did have to, I had chemotherapy for about 6 months. I also had a lumpectomy where they actually extract the cancer cells. And then for preventive measures, I had radiation, and I did that for about 6 weeks. So for the whole entire year, almost for 3/4 of the year of 2017, I was going through cancer treatment. But I did not allow it to stop me. But this had definitely helped me with being a cheerleader for not only me, but for my daughter. I had such an amazing group of friends that reached out, spent time with her. And I was very committed to making sure that she had as much normalcy as possible. So all of my survivors and people who are right now battling, it's possible for you to do it.
Right. Absolutely. So would you say that, do you consistently check for lumps? Would you basically recommend that women check themselves?
Absolutely, monthly. So a lot of times, we as women, even if you've gone through menopause, it's good to just select a day. Maybe it's the 15th of every month, or maybe it's the 1st of every month. You just basically, you go clockwise and you use your 2 fingers because they're the most sensitive. You go clockwise and you go out all the way to the innermost part of your breast. And, you go, push your fingers down just a little firm so that you can feel anything. And if you feel something, make sure that you tell a healthcare provider. I'm an advocate for, being, finding out as early as possible.
Right.
And doing those self-checks. And also men as well. A lot of men feel that breast cancer is something just for women. But there are men that, and I think it's like 1 out of 80 or so, but men do have breast cancer as well. So you should do those monthly checks as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. So, I am so glad and grateful that you survived and are able to successfully, move on. I'm sure that you probably have some preventive measures in place now where you have to continue maybe going to the doctor.
Well, this is my 5th year, thank heavens. And the type of strand of cancer that I had is called triple negative. It's very, very prominent in the African American community. About 80% of the African Americans that have breast cancer have triple negative. And the sad part about it is that no one knows how you got it. We don't know if it's through food, environment, because it's not controlled by hormones. So there are 2 other types of breast cancer that it's either you can extract estrogen from the person, by giving them a pill, or add estrogen, meaning that, that's how you can control the cells from growing. But when it's triple negative, it's pretty much foreign. It's just, it happened and other cells around it were affected. Because it's kind of like cancer is like when a cell goes rogue and they pretty much infect each other around.
I didn't know that there was, I'm so sorry. I did not know that there was one that is specific or detected in African Americans.
Well, it's detected in a lot of people, but it's very common in African Americans.
Oh, I see.
And what was shared with me, although this is my 5th year, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So I will now, after September, when I go to the doctor, I will now only go once a year. I was going twice a year. And my prognosis was very good. But what the doctor told me was if it was going to reoccur, it typically reoccurs in like the 2nd year. And I'm on my 5th year. So I'm super, super excited about that. We're going to have a big bang.
Okay. September, right?
September 14th. Yep. So believe me, it'll be a full week of celebration.
Yeah. Well, rightfully so, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like you got an opportunity to live a second life, right?
I know, right? So and I celebrate 2 birthdays, a bonus birthday as well as Cinco de Mayo, my original birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit now. So you had cancer, you were working for a corporation or a school system, and then you decided to just step out on faith and do your own thing. So what are some of the things that you had mentioned earlier that you did some of your research as far as your medical, some retirement planning, and how you were going to shift that? So then I guess, how did you go about really, like, what were some of your other next steps that you did, just for our listeners that are looking, or that are maybe, taking this as an inspiration to kind of step out on faith too? What would you recommend? What are some of the other steps that were sort of detrimental to your success?
Well, you know what? That's a great question when you ask what were some of the steps that I made. And at that point, I was working for the University System of Georgia. I was working for a well-known college here in Georgia. And what was going on is, after 17, I began to question, right? Okay, I survived this. Millions didn't make it, but I did. So I started to tap into who I was as a person and what brought me joy. And then I began to start not only researching, but just kind of like evaluating my mindset. Because when you go through something that, my biggest fear was, of course, leaving my daughter.
Yeah.
And the thought that, okay, this is something that's happening to me. Of course, I know the best outcome is going to happen, but let's really sit with this. This is a fear, and, it's not going to happen. And now I came out fearless. So now I have all this fearlessness. I know this is an inspirational story. How do I tell my story? So I began to read books, and beyond reading books, I began to actually travel and experience different conventions of people who basically mastered the whole mindset and manifestation. Just thinking above what you see and knowing that what you envision, if you work toward those goals, it will happen. And no one around me was really thinking like that.
Yeah.
And although I was still, I kind of like had one foot in, one foot out, like, yeah, it may happen or it won't. And I'll never forget riding through Buckhead with my daughter. And I was looking at the homes. And at that time, I had lived in an apartment for the longest, making a full salary, still didn't see home ownership as something that was within reach for me. And so I was riding with my daughter, riding through Buckhead, and I was looking at these homes, and she was admiring them, like, oh, mommy, that's a nice house. Is this? And it clicked in my head, like, yeah, that's nice, but you can obtain that too. Not only my daughter, but myself, see myself as owning something like that. Now I'm definitely not the most materialistic person, but that was just a visual for me. Like, you know what? I'm giving myself permission to be great. Like, I have the same level of greatness that whomever has at home,
right?
And why should I put myself in a box working for someone because I know I'm going to get this, certain amount of money, and I know it pays X, Y, and Z, when, it's not even enough for me to go and say, hey, this is what I have, and you give me a loan for a home. I felt really defeated having 3 degrees, working, having a career, but not being able to truly be immersed in an American dream, right? So the American dream, you have a home, you have a family, all these things. And so that was kind of like when it clicked. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I've always done this consulting on the side. I've always been, taught, or like the first business I had was I did tutoring for, different families. And I was like, you know what? I want to start a business, and what would it be? What would it be centered around? Inspiration, inspire, engagement. I love to talk to people. I love to help people and educate. And I love to teach people what I know. And so that was the 3 things that came to mind. And I developed a business model around it. In 18, I started getting really serious about it and, acquiring clients. And not only clients for us, helping them solve problems in the education industry, but also within business. Actually helping people cultivate their niche, their skill set, their mindset to move on and become an entrepreneur.
Right.
And so from there, I was put in a position where at the University System of Georgia, what I was doing on the side, with helping, the different schools or districts, it was brought to my attention that it was kind of like not supplanting, but it was a conflict of interest. So one of the measures that was put in place was I needed to notify them when I had to work with a different client. And initially I started doing it, but then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I don't think that that's fair if I'm not doing it on your time. And I'm really like, supplementing my income because you're not paying me enough. Why is it your business how I'm supplementing my income?
Yeah.
And once I made that decision, I was like, you know what? It's Labor Day of 19. I'm not laboring for anybody else but myself. And that was it. And did I know I was going to be successful? Yes, because I am relentless about it. Like going back to work for somebody else, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. Mm-hmm. I'll partner with you. I'll even do subcontracting. But I just know that where I'm headed, it has to have the least amount of barriers as possible. And when you work for someone, you're on their time. And again, I own my labor, so I own my time. And that's pretty much me.
I completely, I 1,000% agree with you. And that was something that I think was then my trigger too. Once I got a little taste of that freedom, I've never worked so hard. Mm-hmm. I can say that, I was always on a time schedule. Mm-hmm. With the corporations that I've worked for. You're supposed to be here 10 hours a day from this time to this time or whatever. But whenever you walk into the door, 10 hours are required, right? Mm-hmm. But then now I probably work 15 hours a day. Oh, yeah. And I am working every day of the week. I am doing something for my business, but it has been so rewarding.
But isn't it so cool to see?
It doesn't even feel like work.
Well, it doesn't. And what I get out of it is I like to see like an idea come to fruition, like within a day or what have you. Like Wednesdays are the days that I do like my creative space, like with my shirts, like I'm in love with building ambitious endeavors. So because through my company, I do the consulting work, I work with other different businesses. And of course, that takes a lot of my energy. So on Wednesdays, what I try to do is my apparel line, like that's what I do. Like if it's any new ideas, if it's something I want to try, it's on a Wednesday. So I think, again, that scheduling, that making sure that, I don't take meetings before 9:00 because I like to see my daughter off. I like to get my own exercise or yoga or if I want to, meditate or read or whatever it is, it's up to you how you honor your time and you teach others how to work within your parameters. So that's pretty much, it's time for me.
I love it. So let's talk about Bay.
Okay, yes. Bay, honey, don't let Bay be a side piece. Bay is the main. Yeah, so building ambitious endeavors. So Celebrate Your Greatness is my apparel line, right? Mm-hmm. And it just, I won't say it haphazardly happened, but it started with I'm not great by mistake. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget in 2018, February, I got the idea where I'm like, you know what? I had started writing my book, just kind of chronicling my experience with cancer, all these different ways that I've been so fortunate and blessed to come out on top or be victorious. And I'm like, you know what? The book is going to be called I'm Not Great by Mistake because that was my mantra that kind of kept me level-headed when things felt difficult. Like, you know what? I'm going to make it through this because I'm not great by mistake. This is no mistake that this is happening to me because I'm just that great. I have everything I need within me to survive this. And so it started with that. I wanted to make sure people, knew about the book coming and I was selling shirts. And then from there, it was other ideas that came up. And I like to have a provocative like statement. When you see bae, you think about like romance, right? You like,
right.
bae, you know, but then it's like, okay, you know, I'm in a committed relationship with bae that's my singular shirt. So, you know, building ambitious endeavors. And that's pretty much where I am. And my girlfriends, and that's the people who follow me, the people who work with me, you know, we are aligned and connected through our quest to just basically, you know, obtain your growth and just a better, just an abundant lifestyle. And abundance is not just financial, you know, it's abundance in your mindset. Because if it doesn't matter how much money you have, but if you have a impoverished mindset, it's gonna be gone. Like literally, it's gonna be gone.
Right.
So it's just basically the whole idea of having an abundance mindset, your lifestyle, everything abundance, your environment, how you want things to go. Like that's what you're working on. So yeah.
I completely agree, because if you mismanage money,
correct,
or if you are not taught, you know, financial literacy, which was something that we recently talked about, then it doesn't matter how much money you're making. You're always
it's how much you keep.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously. And yeah.
I know one thing that I just thought it was so great. You had like set a goal, right? To like take your friends on a vacation or do something like that.
I did.
You know?
I did.
And you accomplished that. And what great feeling. Do you think you could have done that as a, you know, working for an organization?
You know what, to be honest, I don't think that I could have. And the crazy thing about it, so what Benisas is sharing is I turned 40 last year, and I, of course, had a lot of local celebrations. And then I had, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? A lucky 7, you know, lucky 7 people. It's not too many people you have to like say, okay, you want to do this, do that. And I just was thinking, I'm like, okay, you know what? I like to stay in certain places when I travel abroad or whatever. I'm not gonna lie. I just like a really upper echelon vibe. And I did want everyone in the same place. So what I did was I invited my friends to actually get a flight. And I just had their lodging. So that's pretty much what I did. Of course, they were able to experience all these great, amazing things, but it was really important for us to have that synergy in one spot. We did photo shoots. We did a lot of excursions, all those things. But I'm super, super happy that I was able to do that. And in addition to that, the same week that I came back, I closed on my first home. So that was, I mean, listen, I don't know if you're religious or not, but it was nobody but God, because I will never take credit for that, because there were peaks and valleys in that situation. And I held true to what I wanted to do. I didn't care. I was like, listen, I'm going out of the country with my friends and I'm buying this house. That's my birthday gift to myself by any means necessary.
Okay. Tell us, how can people connect with you?
Oh, wow. That's easy. So you can connect with me so many ways. So I am very active on social media, of course. And my website, 100%, is, I don't even want to say the www, but anyway, it's inspireengageeducate.com. Inspireengageeducate.com. That's my website. You can click on there. You will see the apparel, which is Celebrate Your Greatness, because it's very important for you to celebrate yourself. So like, I'm celebrating this, right? I'm saying that, you know, I'm in love with building ambitious endeavors, and that's going to make you question, well, am I in love with it too? So you in love with babe? Well, am I?
Yeah.
So it's provocative. It's a statement, and it puts your greatness on display, right?
Absolutely.
So I have that going on. And with the social media, we are on YouTube. We're on, and on YouTube right now, I have a series going with I'm in Love with Bae. Benisas was on there. And for the month of March, we've just been able to chronicle the amazing women, female entrepreneurs that are doing so much. They're balancing their families, their dreams, and taking it to the next level. Benisas was one of my amazing guests on that.
Thank you.
And all of that can be found on inspireengageeducate.com, as well as Inspire Engage Educate on Facebook, Inspire Engage Educate also on Instagram. And if you're on Twitter, I am at Tiara. So yeah, that's me.
I just want to add really quickly. So, I'm not great by mistake. I have worn that shirt out completely.
Oh yeah, I gotta get you another right.
And no, but it's fine. But one day I was traveling from a conference back home, and I was at the Chicago airport. I was at O'Hare, and I had some time to kill, and I had my shirt on with my leggings, and I kept walking around, and I literally was almost like,
yes, like
I was so proud, right?
Exactly.
I was walking around, and everybody was like looking at my shirt. Like,
yes. Oh, that is my airport hoodie.
You can tell. Like everybody's like reading your shirt because they're not looking at you. They're like, oh, she's full of herself.
And you know what's so funny? Because it's so when people see I'm not great and then it says by mistake. So great and mistake are never in the same statement. So that's the reason why it's so provocative. They're like, great mistake? What do you mean? What are you talking about? That is my airport hoodie. And I've been asked many times, like, so what does that mean? Because some people, they don't get it. Right. And I'm able to just elaborate, like, listen, you're not great by mistake. Like, you're great. You got to do something with it. We have this time, spend it wisely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tiara, thank you so much for being on the show again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube video, as well as, give us a review on Apple, Google Podcast, and Spotify. You can watch this as a video podcast on YouTube and Spotify, and listen in on all other platforms. Thank you again for tuning in, and until next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you miss my touching.